Okay, 1.4, solving absolute value equations. Students will be able to evaluate expressions involving absolute absolute values and solve absolute value equations. So let's talk about what an absolute value is. Well, the absolute value of a number is the distance that number is from 0 on the number line. Alright, so we got A here inside absolute value signs, and A is just going to be A units from 0. Negative A is also A units from 0, so both of these things equal A. So I want you guys to go ahead and just practice this first one here by plugging -3 into here and see what you get. I'll put the answer up in just a second, so you may want to pause the video while you work on that. Alright, I'm going to plug it in and I solve it out. I ended up with 1.4 plus -18 inside absolute value, but the absolute value of -18 is positive 18, so we get 19.4. Okay, now let's talk about solving absolute value equations, because this is where it's really tricky. We have this x minus 18 in the absolute value sign, and it equals 5. This thing says solve and check, and we do have to check absolute values every single time. And I'll explain to you why in a little bit. But important to know that absolute value bars equals 2 solutions. Kind of think of it as 2 bars, 2 solutions. So here's how we do that. First, we write out the x minus 18 normally without the absolute value bars and just equals 5. Then we write out another equation where we say x minus 18 equals -5. Okay, and then we solve both of them. Add 18, x is going to equal 23 here. Add 18, and x is going to equal 13 here. Alright, there's our solutions, but now we have to check them both. So we got, we don't have to use an x there. Let's instead put in our 23 minus 18 equals 5. 23 minus 18 is 5, and the absolute value of 5 is 5. Sorry, I should have put the check mark there. Let's do it with the 13 now. So we have 13 minus 18 inside the absolute values equals 5. 13 minus 18 is -5. And the absolute value of -5 is 5. So yes, both of these answers work. That's good. But let's go to the next page. Okay, now we got a different problem here. One of the first things we have to do with any absolute value is we have to get the absolute value all by itself. So we're going to have to move this -9. So we get 5x minus 6, absolute value equals -9, because we subtract 9 from both sides. And now if we were to solve this, remember, we would split it into 2. 5x minus 6 equals -9, and then we would do 5x minus 6 just equals +9. Go ahead and solve those out, but then what I want you to do is to check both of your answers by plugging them in to this original equation actually, and see what you get. Okay, when I solved it, I got x equals -3/5 and x equals 3. And then when I plugged it in and checked it, I ended up with a -9 inside the absolute value and a +9 on the outside, so that becomes a +9, and 9 plus 9 is 18. Well, 18 does not equal 0, so that one is not a real solution. Let's go over here. When I plug this one back in, I got a -9 again in the absolute value, because 15 minus 6 is, oh, I'm sorry, not a -9, +9. And the absolute value of 9, +9 is 9, so we get 9 and 9 here, and that equals 18. Well, 18 again does not equal 0, so that can't be a solution either. And if you think about it, when we did this, we got the -9 over here. Well, what inside an absolute value sign will ever give us a negative number? The answer is nothing. Nothing will ever give us a negative answer inside absolute value. It's always positive. So there's no solution for this kind of problem. Alright, next one. I want you guys to try this one all on your own. I'll work it out and put the answer up in a second, but you may want to pause the video and try it and then check your work. Okay. Wait, real quick, we do want to tell you before you try it on your own, when you make the other side negative, you got to distribute the negative. So this is going to be a -3x and a +2. Everything should be the opposite of what it was. So this is positive, now it's negative. This is negative, now it's positive. Okay, go ahead and try that on your own. The answer will be up in just a second. Okay, so when I solved it, I got x equals 4 and x equals -1. And then I went and I tested 4, and I got absolute value of 10 equals 10, which is true, so that's a real solution. When I tested -1, I got 5 equals -6. That is not true, so therefore that is not a real solution. So what's really important here is I'm not having you guys check it just to give you extra work. I want you guys to realize that I'm having you check it because you can do all of the math correctly and still get a wrong answer. So we need to check it to make sure we have the right answer, not because we might have made a mistake. Yeah, so that's it for 1.4. I'll see you guys on the 1.5 video.